Hey everybody. So, end season is here. Some of the plants that never made a good home go into compost. Got the pool full of a couple inches of green stuff I gotta get out. That's gonna be fun. Yeah. The pile from going through for potatoes. So interesting enough, some of the peanut still around. Let's see, the horseradish is taking a little bit of frost damage. Some things are a bit dry, even though it rained the other day. I guess it wasn't that much rain. More of the extra plants I need to clean up. The flower beds still producing some flowers. The rose, it's about 1.5 feet tall now. I think those are zinnia that are still green, except for a little bit of chamomile frond down there. And then fig's still holding up. I'll have to cover it soon. We've had a couple frost nights. The first one I covered the beds because that was a couple weeks ago, and the other was not last night but the night before, and I didn't cover anything. Still have mushrooms coming up here. I think these are shaggy mane, but I have really no idea. I can't quite remember what this is here. Some kind of flower, but it's still trucking. And then I think this is the sesame, but I'm doubting myself now. And then the bunching onion, I'm just gonna cut the tops off, see what they do next year. Kind of curious what happens there. Strawberries are still trying to produce fruit, but I don't think they have any hope of doing anything. The asparagus is starting to die off. But here we've got quite a bit of damage on the tomatoes. This is the apricot zebra and the prairie fire. So still a fair number of green and really pale fruits. I'll have to come through and clean all those off. I'm gonna have to cut these back to the soil soon, just to get things ready to overwinter. I kind of want to spread some compost on the beds, or at least a fair amount of what am I trying to think here? Straw mulch. So you really need the bed to be mostly cleaned up to do that. But we've gotten a fair number of tomatoes out of the garden. That's been really nice. We had a roast the other day with a bunch of carrot in it from the garden, and they were really carroty. Like, it was really nice. There was one that was, well, one that my wife said was green, because I can't tell, of course, and that one had a really carroty flavor, really pronounced. It was pretty cool. We harvested the last cauliflower. It turned a little yellow on us, but yeah, it still tasted delicious. The basil, the Thai basil, is still really fragrant. Still great to use in recipes, but you can see it's getting disease. It's dying back, and we've got powdery mildew showing up on this melon. You can tell the leaves on the carrot are getting a little limp, so they want to come in. We've got a melon here It's a little eaten on the bottom by wood lice, but it looks like the tendril's starting to dry. It's just not, it's not where it needs to be yet. I'm torn on that one, whether I should take it in, take my chances it's underripe, or leave it out here to try and ripen. But then the chances it dies from freeze or frost. So, I don't know, roll a dice on that maybe. We've got another melon that I tucked back here because we had a pest going after it, and I wanted to protect it from the frost a little by having it just inside the bed there. It seems to have helped. The vine is in rapid decline, so I'm not really sure. I should probably just cut all these melons loose and take my chances. We've got plenty of yellow oxheart tomatoes, but they are all really blighty. I'll try to get some focus. Yeah. Not hugely appetizing, but you can see how that plant is really struggling. It's dying back quite a bit. We've got broccoli over here I harvested, but I just left going. It just keeps producing these little florets. It's really sweet. The kale and the celery kind of taking over the bed. We'll come up with a better strategy for those next year. I've got more melon over here. A little healthier vine, but not hugely better. Oh, I got a cabbage worm just hanging out there. Probably fell off the kale when it was cold. Just hasn't felt like getting back on the horse. I got that elderberry growing in the middle. I'm going to transplant that in spring. Yeah, so this vine is pretty much completely destroyed. I don't know if that's powdery mildew, end of season, or temperature change, but probably need to take these off. I'll come out with the scissors. I don't want to pull off because they're probably not ready. Another little one hanging around the corner here. And then the cucumbers have pretty much died off. You still have a few really tiny cucumbers hanging on the vine, but I'm expecting those are going to be pretty bitter and lackluster. This Mad Hatter pepper in the corner has produced a ton of peppers just late in the season. They kind of started going from lime green to this kind of orangey yellow, and then they transitioned to full-on red. And I was a little worried they weren't going to do that. They just took forever, but they finally did. So it's been nice. Moonglow tomato is trying to push out the last of its few for the year. I'm going to top that guy and give him a chance to ripen some of those last tomatoes. Got one Brussels sprout that's actually making sprouts, so I'm going to come out and knock those off. I think it's time to cull the others because I doubt they're going to do anything. And then Costa Rican peppers cranking out another. I think I have another one tucked back over here. It was green. Oh, there's a hi. There's a Thai pepper down here. So apparently the plants can activate the screen when they touch it. That's kind of funny. The phone thinks that the plants are people. But yeah, you can see so this is just sad. This is the orange scotch bonnet. This is one of my favorite peppers. Um, it did not grow a single fruit this year. Any pods, no pods. So, I was thinking I'd overwinter some peppers for next year, but what's the point of overwintering a plant that didn't produce anything? Like, it just doesn't have the traits I want. So I'm not keeping that. I'm just going to plant a new one from seed next year. And then the tomatillo, the gigante. I don't think I'm ever going to grow the gigante again. It's a lot of sprawl and it doesn't produce good fruit. They're not the right size. They aren't the right ripeness. They don't have the right flavor. I'm just really not happy with those. So I'm gonna switch to a different variety. Oh man, what's that one over there? The yellow one. It's Malinalco tomatillo. I really like the flavor of those. It's really productive. It doesn't get all spindly and wiry like the Gigante does. So I'm thinking that I'll grow one or two of those next year and focus on them rather than the Gigante, or I'll find another green tomatillo variety to try. And then, so these ground cherries, man, they are just everywhere. Don't get me wrong, these are really good. I really enjoy eating them, but they get so big, they take up so much space, they smother everything that they grow next to. And I'm thinking this is a plant that would really take well to being pruned on a regular basis. So yeah, basically trying to say next year I think I'm gonna put them in some containers on the patio, somewhere a little easier to reach. Get them from all sides. Clean them up with some pruners every now and then. Kind of keep them under control. Maybe that'll be a better experience. I tell you right now, my prediction for next year, I'm going to be fighting constantly against. They're falling off while I'm standing here. I'm going to be fighting these growing as weeds around and in this bed all next year. Maybe that's not a terrible curse to have, but it's certainly going to create more work for me. What they say is weed is just a plant growing where you don't want it to grow. So, in that vein, I'm going to have a weed problem next year. Let's see, some of the ones from last year that grew wild, just out of the ground because they fell near the beds. And then we've got this is the Bloody Butcher. Bloody Butcher wasn't very productive. It produces good tasting tomatoes. I think just to get any amount of them, you'd have to plant, several of them, which I did not do. I only planted one of each tomato that I was interested in this year. The Cherry Baby, produces this really, really tiny, really crisp and taut tomatoes. I really like just how much that produced and how good those were. And then the yellow pear tomato. So, I share these plants with a lot of friends and sell them to acquaintances, and every now and then I ask them how they've been doing and how they taste. My yellow pear tomato has not tasted good this year. It's not necessarily bad, just doesn't have a lot of flavor in it. But seems like later in the season it's changed a bit. It's got more of that kind of sauce tomato flavor. It's not very juicy, which is different. So I think maybe I just got a weird seed. Got one of the. Maybe it hybridized with a different variety last year, or I don't know. It's atypical, and it's atypical compared to other plants from the same packet. And actually, yeah, and when I say packet, I mean seeds that I saved from last year. So, I don't know if these are heirloom, the yellow pear. Probably aren't. So maybe I'm dealing with some hybridization, generational things. Sorry to talk with my mouth full. Saw a cherry baby. I just had to take it. So, I don't know. I'm still new at the stuff. Relatively new, especially seed saving. And, I know you're not supposed to save seeds from hybrid plants. You only save them from heirlooms and stuff that has stable genetics, but I can't help myself. And I don't like spending money on seeds, so let's kind of see where we end up. But, yeah, that's it, I guess. I'll show you the what am I trying to say? The savory fruit persimmon. I'd show you the persimmon tree, but there's really nothing to show you. It's dropped all its leaves. The plum over here is starting to drop its leaves for the season, and then the peach is holding on to its leaves for quite a while. It usually is the last one to drop. It'll hold into the second or third frost. I'm not sure if that's a normal thing, or if I've been lucky, or if this one's just in a little zone that provides it a microclimate. I have no idea. If you have any clues, as always, feel free to comment. And yeah, that's all I got for you. Happy end of season. I'll probably update once or twice more as the season wraps up and I clean up the garden. Take care.